A nurse was killed recently, and another nurse is responsible for her murder. The remains of 32-year-old Melissa Jubain were found Friday after she had been reported missing by her co-workers in Beaverton, Colorado that week on Wednesday. Now, her neighbor, which is 27-year-old Bryce Schubert, who is pictured here on the right, and he's a former nurse, as I said, as well, has been arrested and charged in her murder. And investigators also say he was involved in her disappearance. Melissa was a nurse at St. Vincent Hospital in Portland, and she did not report to her work shift a week ago on Wednesday morning. That definitely raised concerns among her coworkers and friends and family because it was completely out of character for her. The fact that she was absent and not communicating was deemed unusual and alarming. Officers conducted a wellness check at her home when she didn't show up to work, but there were no signs of her. Investigators ended up searching her apartment, the apartment building, her phone, debit and credit card transactions, banking transactions, everything, but they were not able to find any trace of her. After an extensive investigation, they were then led to Bryce, and they did find her remains after that. Bryce was charged with second-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and second-degree abuse of a corpse, and he is being held at jail in Washington County, Oregon. He was previously a nurse that worked at Providence Portland Medical Center from September of 2022 to October of 2023. Reportedly, Melissa was an exceptional nurse and passionate about her job, and she was well loved and respected by her colleagues. She had also recently gotten married just a few weeks ago in Hawaii, and she had been home a little over a day before she went missing. I read that her husband, Brian Lantero, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is active duty military, and he's stationed in Washington. So the two of them flew back from Hawaii on September 1st, and they then spent Labor Day together on the 2nd before Melissa drove back to Beaverton, which was about 3 hours south. And that, of course, was where she worked and lived. She was planning to eventually get a job where her husband was stationed so that they could be together. Now, her husband had last heard from her at around 6 a.m. on Wednesday, September 4th. According to police, her apartment door, which had an electric key, was opened that morning at around 6:30 a.m. She did not show up to work at 7 a.m. and work was about 5 miles away. But hours went by and there were no signs of her. They eventually met an apartment manager at her apartment and they searched for her all over the building, but no luck. Her bags, keys, and phone were missing, but her car was still parked in the apartment complex's garage, the parking garage, that is. By 3:12 p.m., police had entered her into a national database for missing people. Police started going door to door to every neighbor of the complex, and they asked for the public's help in providing surveillance video that might show any evidence of how and why she disappeared. Authorities also used tracking dogs to find clues. At 3 a.m. on Saturday, police announced they found her body, and they announced that Bryce was arrested on Friday. It was said that she was kidnapped and murdered, and her deceased body was abused all on the day that she went missing, which was Wednesday, September 4th. And those are about all the details I know. I don't know the details between Melissa and Bryce. I don't know if they were friends. They could have known each other because they were nurses. And then obviously, like I said before, they were neighbors. I'm wondering if he was maybe obsessed with her and her marriage set him off. Now, of course, I don't know that. I'm just thinking out loud. A GoFundMe has been set up to help her family if you're interested in donating. The GoFundMe states that Melissa was not only a loving daughter, friend, and community member, but she was also a dedicated nurse who cared deeply for everyone, and she touched countless lives with her compassion, kindness, and selflessness. The investigation is ongoing, and police have not released the details about how Bryce was involved in her murder, or who found her remains, or where they were found. The Beaverton Police Department is asking anyone with more information about this to please contact them at 503-526-2280. This is super heartbreaking, and my prayers go out to all the lives that she touched and all who knew and loved her. For more true crime, please be sure to click on the follow button and to visit my website at www.truecrimewithmegan.com.